How's it going, everyone? Thanks for stopping by the channel. Today we are in the bike shop. We're going to be installing a adjustable stem on my ZiZZO Campo. Now ZiZZO offers this online for, I believe it's like $39 and some cents. Let's take a look here. I think it's $39 even, so that's kind of a good price. There are others online you can purchase. I found one on Amazon, but it got pretty bad reviews, and one person on the ZiZZO fan appreciation page on Facebook said it was kind of crappy quality. But this is a quill stem, has an adjustability right here. It's nicely graduated too, so you can kind of remember what number you're on and set it that way each and every time. So very nicely made, all aluminum. We're going to go ahead and install that on the bike today and replace the fully rigid, full mast sized one on there. But yeah, this is in fact $39. So I just want to double check that. So I'm giving you right information. If you guys are looking for something like this, ZiZZO is the place to get it. Especially if you own a ZiZZO bike. If you don't, you should consider getting one. The quality on these is outstanding. The value is outstanding. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start the process. We're going to need to remove the old stem on the bike, and I'll show you that in just a second, and then reinstall this one. Pretty simple, not a whole lot of tools needed. Really just a 6mm Allen key. Alright, and this is the fully rigid stem here. You see there is no break in it. It's one size, kind of try to fit all. More designed for kind of a cruising type of a ride, more heads up, kind of upright seated position. I prefer a little bit more aerodynamic positioning, so we're going to go ahead and remove this and get that new quill stem installed. The first thing we're going to need to do, guys, is remove this bar, and we're going to do that by removing this quick release mechanism here. Go ahead and flip this quick release back. Normally I would take the components off, the grips and the shifter and the brake lever, and just slide the bar through. But for this, we're going to go ahead and just unscrew this bottom nut here. And being careful that we're not dropping any parts. There are a couple of small pieces here that you don't want to hit the floor because they end up in Egypt most of the time. We have a very small brass bushing up on top here. And I'll show you that in just a second here. So you can see we have brass bushing, our nut, our washer, our bolt I should say, and our washer, and then we have the barrel nut and quick release. Now that barrel nut can fall out of that hole there if you don't hold it in place, so just make sure you're using caution if you do it this way. So we'll go ahead and set that aside for the time being. Now normally you should be able to just flip this back and take it off, but there are two little rubber sleeves here that kind of center your bar, and we're going to go ahead and slide one of those back out of the way, and we can actually slide the keyed in top cap out of its position and then remove the bar. And I'll give you a better shot of that here, so I apologize for the crappy camera work. I'm kind of doing this solo today, but I'll go ahead and zoom it in just a little bit. And there we go. Now you can see kind of the puzzle piece kind of shape inside a shape there. And now we can go ahead and just slide this whole top cap back out of the way, and the bar is ready to be removed at this point. So we'll go ahead and set that part down there, get that out of the way. We can take our bar, set it on the floor in front of us here, and make sure that's out of the way. And we can move on to step 2 at this point. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the top cap. And I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to this stuff. I like to keep all my parts in place and all my components whole, so to speak. So we'll go ahead and reinstall the quick release mechanism. And we got the bushing up on top here, and I do believe I got that in there backwards. And kind of take a closer look here, and it looks like I do. Sorry about my big ugly hand in the way there, guys. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and flip that the other direction so the hole lines up. And we can go ahead and put the bolt through, and we can start threading on the quick release lever. And I apologize again for my hand here. It's a little easier said than done trying to do this behind the camera and do it with any proficiency. So let's go ahead and just get that tightened up a little bit, and that should just about do it right about there. So now we can flip that down and move on to step 2. Step 2 is just going to be basically releasing this lever here, dropping the bar down about halfway, tilting it over, and then getting a 6mm hex wrench and removing this. So there is a safety latch here. We're lifting that up, and we're going to pry the quick release away from the bar, drop it down. This one's kind of tight. There we go. And now we can now we'll have access to the quill on the top here. And I'll try to give you a little bit better picture here. And I apologize for the camera moving around here, but I'm trying to do this with the least amount of edits possible. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a 6mm, there it is, a 6mm hex cap screw inside here. That's part of the quill mechanism. So we're going to need to loosen that up. And for this, I'm just using a 6mm T-handle, and we'll get that loose here. And you want to get this pretty loose, guys. You may have to tap the screw there to kind of release the quill wedge, so you can remove the stem from the fork here. So let's go ahead and get that loose. And let's see, that might be enough. Let me just zoom back out here, you guys get a better view. And there we go. So there it is, pretty easy, guys. Next thing we're going to do is grab our other stem, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some grease on here, guys. It's pretty dry from the factory. We're using just waterproof marine grease. And I'm going to go ahead and grease up these threads a little bit here, and then grease the wedge itself. You want to make sure you're greasing this good. You don't want this to get stuck in the frame of the bike. If it sits in there for a couple of years, it could actually seize up, depending on how you're storing the bike. But let's go ahead and get this installed and then just snugged up. I recommend wearing gloves if you're not like me. I am pretty much grease resistant. I'm up to my elbows in this stuff almost every day, so, and you can see it's kind of binding up a little bit in there. So we're going to want to take our T-handle and just kind of tap on it with our fist to free that quill up on the inside there, or that wedge. So let's go ahead and do that. It should line up better that way. Yeah, see, it's not. There we go. There we go. Now it fell into place. So we're going to go ahead and just snug this up. We're not going to reef it down just yet. I want to make sure this is going to be able to be moved. So once we get our bar in, we can line the bar up with the front wheel and not have to worry about loosening this whole thing up again. So we're just going to kind of snug it down for the time being here, and then it'll be a little bit easier to work on at that point. Here we go. I just wanted to double check that. And we'll snug her down and kind of leave it at that. So that's where we are with this. Now we're almost done here, guys. We're almost home with this, but I want to make sure. I was just kind of doing a mock fold up there to see where that bar would fall. We're going to lock that stem into place there, and we can take a little bit better look at it and see. It seems like it's a little crooked yet, and we'll address that in just a second here. But let's go ahead and get that bar installed for now. Alright, same as before, we're going to go ahead and remove this assembly here, taking the bolt out and removing the quick release lever, bushing, and the washer. And we can go ahead and slide that top cap out of the way here, and we'll get our bar set up on top here. Let's get that out. And I showed you that before, how that all keys together. I'll give you a little bit another view of that here, and how that fits together. Pretty simple, guys. It's a little puzzle piece here, nothing too major. Once you see it in person, once you're holding on to it, you'll be able to understand how that fits together. But I hope I'm giving you a good idea on how this works here. So now we can grab our bar and position that on top of the stem, like so. And from here we'll get our top cap and we'll get that slid back into place again. This can be a little bit fidgety here, guys, so if you got a helper, I would recommend using a helper. It can be done by yourself. It just got to take your time and not get frustrated with it. So once that's in place, we can slide our little kind of position grommet, center position grommet over to the center of the stem. And from here, we're going to reinstall our hardware. Again, we are dealing with the little brass bushing up on top there. This time I think I put it on the right way, so hooray for me. And the rest of the hardware goes through. So you have your bolt going through the bottom with the washer on it, and then up on top is going to be our quick release lever, and we're going to screw it right into the barrel nut that's inside the lever here. So let's do that real quick here. Get that tightened down. You don't want to overdo this. You have to make an adjustment on the tension. You don't want to crush the bar. So let's go ahead and position it kind of where we want it. And here's where it comes to making adjustments. So let's back that off just a little bit so we're not crushing the bar, or you don't have to exert a whole lot of pressure to close this. And let's try that one more time. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and shoot just a little bit of grease between the bushing and the actual quick release lever. Kind of lubricate that a little bit as well. Now we can snug that down and make our adjustment, and we should be a little bit looser. There we go. We should be good to go at that point right there. Only thing left to do is reclamp the stem here, and that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you all in the next one, and God bless the Republic.